Constructivism by Savannah Davis. What is constructivism? Constructivism is a scientific theory based on observations about how students learn. It states that students construct their own understanding and knowledge of the world through experiences they have. When a student is introduced to something new, they link it with past experiences. This means that students are active participants in their education and they must ask questions and explore the different outcomes in order to assess what they know. Who are the foundational theorists behind constructivism? Dewey is our first theorist. He is thought to be the founder of this approach. He felt that students should engage in real-world experiences in order to demonstrate their true knowledge of the concept. Jean Piaget took the lead with cognitive constructivism through his theory of cognitive development. He theorized that the nature of knowledge is acquired and gradually constructed through experiences. Vygotsky gets credit for social constructivism. He thought that social interaction between peers and teachers created a working environment for good learning. How does constructivism differ from traditional ideas about teaching and learning? First, we have traditional versus constructivist curriculum. In the traditional classroom, students are given a set standard they have to meet. The curriculum is fixed and cannot and should not be strayed away from. Textbooks and workbooks are primarily seen in the traditional classroom. They are based more on repetition rather than building on knowledge. Next, we have traditional versus constructivist curriculum, constructivist view. In a constructivist classroom, teachers still have standards they have to meet, but they are general. This is sometimes referred to as big concepts. Instruction should be based on student interest and the questions they ask. Interactive stations or manipulatives and building on previous knowledge are big in constructivist classrooms. How students are viewed. Traditional. In a traditional classroom, students are viewed as individuals who have work they need to learn. In a constructivist classroom, students are seen as lifelong learners. They are always growing and learning from the things they experience in the classroom. They work in groups on interactive projects that broaden their learning experience. They are given the opportunity to reflect on their experiences. How students work. Traditional. There is no grouping in the traditional classroom. You take notes and you learn it. How students work. Constructivist view. They work in groups on interactive projects that broaden their learning experience. They are given the opportunity to reflect on their experiences. Next, we have the traditional role of teachers. Teachers in a traditional role will be more authoritative. They will make sure students are all learning the same thing in the same way. There is no room for creative thought. Students are given directions and are expected to follow them exactly. Next, we have the constructivist view. Teachers in a constructivist role are considered mediators for learning. There is not one single way to accomplish a task. They allow students to figure that out for themselves. The teacher creates a more interactive environment for students. They may learn a topic by doing rather than listening and writing information down. Next, we have assessment. Traditional. In a traditional classroom, content is presented, and at the end of the topic or unit, students are tested on whether they know the information. There is always a right or wrong answer. There is no room for creative thought and the option to explain yourself. Next, we have the constructivist view of assessment. In a constructivist classroom, students are still being taught content and tested, but in a more innovative way. They can be graded formally or informally through the work they complete in class. In-class discussions about observations they have made can count as a form of assessment. Giving students the opportunity to give the answer from their point of view is a great way constructivists assess student understanding. They may give us an answer we deem wrong, but when they explain themselves, it actually, in a way, may be correct. What is the PAR model? PAR stands for Present, Apply, and Review. In this model, students are taking responsibility for their own learning. The teacher is there to facilitate and monitor the progress made. In the present stage, students are taught or introduced to new material. Goals are set and preparations are made. After the topic is demonstrated, students are given the opportunity to offer feedback on what they are learning. Next, we have the apply stage. Students take the goals they have laid out and apply them to new material. This is another opportunity for students to offer feedback on what they are learning. Lastly, we have the review stage. Students will summarize what they have learned. Teachers will offer clarity on anything that needs touched on. And again, students are given the opportunity to offer and receive feedback for the learning experience. This model has been tested and found to be one of the most effective ways to promote learning. How is PAR like constructivism? It is similar to the constructivist idea in that it too is student-centered. Also, active learning is going on as the teacher observes the classroom. The focus in both of these is on thinking and understanding content for yourself instead of just remote memorization. These are also great for promoting social and communication skills in students. Next, we have a scenario using the PAR model. So here we have the present stage. Students have been studying different units of measurement. The focus this week has been on irregular units used to measure objects. Students are presented with instructions that state, you will choose 3 irregular units to measure an object. This can include erasers, paper clips, rubber bands, sticky notes, etc. in the classroom. You must choose one item to measure. Next, we have the apply stage in our scenario. Students will then apply what they have learned this week about measuring. They will take their sticky note or paper clips and measure the length of the chalkboard or whatever item they may choose. They will then go back to their seats and compare their findings. Lastly, we have the review scenario part of our scenario. They will have to explain why it only took 30 sticky notes to measure the length of the board and 100 paper clips, or why Sally used 6 sheets of copy paper to measure the length of the board. The point of the lesson is to make students realize that you can measure with anything, but in order to receive an accurate reading, all the standards need to be the same. Here are a few resources I used through my lesson. Thank you and have a great day.